There hasn't been a new asset class since the bond market in 1693. Well, now there's a new asset class, and it is the digital asset space. The question is, are you participating? Hey, what's going on, guys? It's the Crypto Siege with another day in the life, in the crazy life that is the digital asset space. Good morning. Happy Saturday to you guys. I want to go over just a little bit deeper. I'm going to touch on an issue, a word in this executive order on regulatory relief that's signed by President Donald Trump himself. And shout out to my friend Deep Mind, who pointed out to me, right? Because we kept asking, right? He was on the stream when I was asking, what does this look like? This executive order on regulatory relief to support economic recovery. What does it look like? What's going on? What are they looking to do here? What's the purpose of putting this together? What does it look like? And then we had to go into, he reminded me to look into agency. What does that look like? Right? So we're going to cover that. And we're going to talk the definition of agency. We're going to talk the definition of agency as defined by Title 44, Section 3502 of the United States Code, and see if perhaps that makes a little bit more sense for us. So listen, guys, this is your XRP Ripple Daily News in 0 to 10 minutes. Let's do this. So here's the executive order on regulatory relief to support economic recovery. Okay, guys, listen, I'm not going to go over the whole thing, but I do want to cover a couple of paragraphs. So does it make sense to you? Okay. So here's one I think is really, really important. I have taken sweeping action. This is President Trump himself. I have taken sweeping action to control the spread of the beer cold in the United States, including by suspending entry of certain foreign nationals who present a risk of transmitting the beer cold, implementing policies to accelerate acquisition of personal protective equipment and bring new diagnostic capabilities to laboratories, and pressing forward rapidly in the search for effective treatments and vaccines. Our states, tribes, territories, local communities, health authorities, hospitals, doctors and nurses, manufacturers, and critical infrastructure workers have all performed heroic service on the front lines battling the beer cold. Executive departments and agencies, plural, under my leadership have helped them by taking hundreds of administrative actions since March, many of which provided flexibility regarding burdensome requirements that stood in the way of implementing the most effective strategies to stop the beer cold spread. Okay, now I'm going to turn, so we all know the issues and the challenges, right? So I'm not going to go over that as well. So the beer cold has attacked our nation's economy as well as its health. Okay, remember, this is about the economic challenges that have plagued the nation and the world, really, in a lot of ways. This is obviously addressing it, right, for the U.S., right? It says economic regulatory relief, in other words, the absence of regulation to support economic recovery, okay? So what do I want to go talk about that? On April 16th of 2020, I announced guidelines for opening up America again, a framework for safely reopening the country and putting millions of Americans back to work, okay? Just as we continue to battle the beer cold itself, so too must we join together to overcome the effects the beer cold has had on our economy. Success will require the efforts of not only the federal government, but also of every state, tribe, territory, and locality, of businesses, of nonprofits and houses of worship, and of the American people. To aid those efforts, this is the important part right here, guys. I'm going to highlight this. To aid those efforts, agencies must continue to remove barriers to the greatest engine of economic prosperity the world has known. Agencies must continue to remove barriers. Agencies, and we're going to cover the definitions, the textbook definition and the definition of agencies as according to the U.S. Code Title 44, Section 3502. But let me read on. To aid these efforts, agencies must continue to remove the barriers to the greatest engine of economic prosperity the world has ever known, right? Agencies must continue to remove barriers to the greatest engine of economic prosperity the world has ever known. The innovation, the initiative, and drive of the American people. So the agencies must continue to remove the barriers, right, to the innovation and to the initiative and drive of the American people. The agencies must do this, right? The agencies. Now again, so by the authority vested in me as president by the Constitution and the laws of the United States of America, it is hereby ordered as follows. It is the policy of the United States to combat the economic consequences of the beer code with the same vigor and resourcefulness with which the fight against the beer code itself has been waged. Agencies should address this economic emergency by rescinding, modifying, waiving, or providing exemptions from regulations and other requirements that may inhibit economic recovery. Let me go over just a couple of definitions of agencies, right? Agencies should address the economic emergency, right? By rescinding, modifying, waiving, and providing exemptions from regulations and other requirements that may inhibit economic recovery. And other requirements that may inhibit economic recovery. We're going to go on a deep dive on that particular sentence in the stream today. Really looking forward to this. We're going to go back to Brian Brooks. We're going to go back to an article from Capco, which was presented by the people from MIT. Yeah, we're really going to get into that. I'm really looking forward to that as well. So they should also, well, let me finish. Providing regulations, requirements that may inhibit economic recovery consistent with applicable law and with protection of the public health and safety, with national and homeland security, and with budgetary priorities and operational feasibility. They should also give business. So this is an addition. The agencies, so they outlined the initial part of the agency for sending, modifying, waiving, providing exemption from regulations. But in addition to that, agencies should also give businesses, especially small businesses, the confidence they need to reopen by providing guidance on what the law requires. Okay, so here's the thing that I think is so important. Let's go over these agencies, right? Because a lot of us talking about agency. What does that look like? Let's check out the definition. Just the, textbook definition of agency, right? A business or organization established to provide a particular service, typically one that involves organizing transactions between two other parties. A business or organization established to provide a particular service, typically one that involves organizing transactions between two other parties. Okay, keep that in mind for the stream later on today, guys. I hope stay tuned for that one. It's going to be hopefully a well put together kind of thought process. So here's the definition, because in the executive order, it says agency has the meaning given in Title 44, Section 3502 of the United States Code, right? So let's look at that one. The term agency means any executive department, military department, government corporation, government-controlled corporation, government-controlled corporation, or other establishment in the executive branch of the government, including the executive office of the president, or any independent regulatory agency. Okay, this is from Cornell Law. This is straight out of the government's definition of agency, right? This is from Cornell Law, because I looked up the government one, but it's just so hard to read it. But this is exactly. Then they got the exclusions, right? But does not include the government of the GAO or the Federal Election Committee, right? Let's go over independent regulatory agency. All right, so the term independent regulatory agency means the Board of Governors of the Federal Reserve System, the Commodities Future Trading Commission, CFTC, the Consumer Product Safety Commission, the Federal Communications Commission, the Federal Deposit Insurance Corporation, the Federal Energy Regulatory Commission, the Federal Housing Finance Agency, the Federal Maritime Commission, the Federal Trade Commission, the Interstate Commerce Commission, the Mine Enforcement Safety and Health Review Commission, the National Labor Relations Board, the Nuclear Regulatory Commission, the Occupational Safety and Health Review Commission, the Postal Regulatory Commission. All right, guys, here's the ones that I think you're going to love. Hey, the Securities and Exchange Commission. Remember, rescinding, modifying, getting rid of regulatory requirements that hinder the progression of economic recovery. Included in these agencies is the Securities and Exchange Commission. Included in these agencies is the Bureau of Consumer Financial Protection. We're going to cover that in the stream later as well. Included in these agencies is the Office of the Comptroller of the Currency, Mr. Brian Brooks. We're going to cover that as well. And Brian Brooks' latest thoughts about crypto firms. We've already covered the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau, right? And what the Bureau of Consumer Financial Protection, and what they think of Ripple and its digital asset XRP. Do you guys get what I'm saying? I want to cover that in a little bit more detail later on in the stream today. Just a brief little touch, just a little sniff, if you will, what we're going to cover later on today in the stream, guys. Very, very interesting, the definition of agency. All right, guys. So listen, I am going to wrap up this video like I do all my videos and remind you of this. Old money doesn't want you to win. They don't want us to win. They would rather us remain a cog in their perpetual wheel of trading our time for dollars. They don't want us to play in the same playground that they play in, where we allow our money to work for us. This is our chance to win, guys. The digital asset space is our chance to win. We are in the midst of the greatest transfer of wealth in the history of man. Are you participating, or are you standing on the sidelines? Here's what I do know, that the battle for you has already been fought, and the victory is yours. Go get it. I'll talk to you soon, guys. See ya. Bye.